Have you ever had a long to-do list, but instead of tackling it, you find yourself doom scrolling or binge watching Netflix? You tell yourself that I will start soon, but somehow the day just slips away. Maybe there was a time you got super motivated to change your life, but that motivation only lasted for a few days. And before you knew it, you were right back to procrastinating. My name is Jibreal Khan and I was a serial procrastinator for most of my life. But after years of wrestling with procrastination, reading hundreds of self-help books, and diving deep into thousands of podcasts on psychology and human behavior, I finally figured out how to build systems that made discipline feel so fun and easy that I actually wanted to keep going. Now I'm the most disciplined, productive, and consistent version of myself. And the best part is, being disciplined doesn't feel like a grind anymore. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 powerful principles that helped me make discipline enjoyable and honestly made it hard to quit. So let's dive in. Every task that you do, whether it's brushing your teeth or running a marathon, carries a little tag in your brain called perceived effort. It's basically how hard your brain thinks that task is going to be. Brushing your teeth, low effort. Running a marathon, huge effort. Here's where procrastination sneaks in. When the effort that your brain expects is higher than the energy that you have right now, you naturally end up putting off that task. It's not that you're lazy, your brain is just trying to conserve energy. Now, most people try to push through this by forcing motivation. They watch hype videos, watch motivational reels, blast their favorite music, and sure, this gives you a temporary lift in your current energy level. You ride that wave of motivation for a few days until it crashes, and you end up right back where you started. This motivation-based approach never really worked for me. Want to know the real secret? Stop trying to push your energy up. Instead, lower the effort that your brain thinks is required of the task. Make that task feel so easy, almost laughably easy, that you don't even need motivation to start. When you make discipline feel easy, it actually becomes fun. And there are 2 go-to tools that I use to make this happen. Let's break them down. There will always be days when you just don't feel like doing the work. This is life, there's no way to avoid this. On those days, I follow the 30% rule. Here's the rule: when a task feels too heavy, just scale it down to 30% intensity. Let's say you plan to work out for 60 minutes, but at the moment you cannot even fathom going to the gym. No problem. Switch to a 20-minute workout instead. Instantly the task feels lighter now. The resistance drops. You are now much more likely to show up. But here is where I messed up in the past. I used to have this all or nothing mindset. Either I would read 20 pages a day or I wouldn't read at all. And truth be told, I was kind of proud of this mindset. I used to proclaim that I'm such a perfectionist. But the reality was I wasn't a perfectionist. I was just self-sabotaging. On days when I didn't feel like reading, I would skip it entirely. And skipping that task broke my momentum. And once you break that momentum, it could take you weeks or even months to recover. Now, once I switched to this 30% rule, even on my low days, I would just read 4 or 5 pages. This 30% effort was enough to maintain the flow and keep me going back to that activity the next day. Remember this: momentum makes discipline easy. You lose your momentum, you lose your discipline. Now, the 30% rule is great for things that you can actually measure. Things like time, pages, number of sets. But what about big projects that don't have clear numbers? Like writing a thesis, making a YouTube video, or building a business. Those things can feel overwhelming even when your energy levels are good. This is where the task breakdown rule comes in. Task feels too overwhelming to do. That's because you are looking at the entire mountain. Instead, start by breaking it down into smaller pieces. Then break those pieces down even more. One of my clients, who was an international student, was drowning with exam preparation. She had been procrastinating studying for months because every time she thought about her exams, her brain practically screamed at her that it's too much work. So we started by switching off that voice and breaking the task down. First, we broke that giant task of studying for exams into subjects. Then we broke down each of these subjects into chapters. Finally, we set her daily goal just to study 1 chapter. Now, instead of her waking up and thinking about this giant task of preparing for exams, she woke up thinking that she just has to finish 1 tiny chapter. This felt doable, this felt light, and this allowed her to finally get moving. And honestly, this works for almost everything. You're making a YouTube video, break it down into scripting, thumbnail design, recording, editing. Writing a report, break it down into chapters, or even paragraphs, or even sentences. If you're just feeling that low today, keep shrinking that task until it feels small enough to start immediately. Because when tasks feel small, they stop being scary. And it actually feels kind of fun to just knock them out. There's one more way to lower the perceived effort of a task, and it's honestly the most powerful one. Make it part of who you are. This idea comes from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. He explains that when you tie your habits to your identity, you don't have to push yourself to do that task anymore. It becomes kind of the thing that you just naturally do. For example, if you see yourself as someone who is trying to work out, then this task begins to feel a bit optional, a bit foreign to you. And then you end up trying to negotiate with yourself. Maybe you skip it for a few days. But if you perceive yourself as an athlete, working out isn't a task then. It's just part of your life. You just do it by default. It just feels natural to you. Here's the secret. This identity is built through small votes that are casted every single day. Every time you read a book, you cast a vote for becoming a reader. Every time you hit a workout, you cast a vote for becoming an athlete. Every time you record, you cast a vote for becoming a creator. The more votes that you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. And the easier it feels to keep showing up the next day. Because when a habit truly becomes part of your identity, its perceived effort becomes super low. Like, think about this. On most days, you don't need any motivation to brush your teeth. It's just part of who you are. And that is the goal. Make discipline feel like brushing your teeth. The 30% rule, the task breakdown rule, and creating an identity are all really powerful, but they only work if your current energy levels are not completely wrecked. Because you're sleep deprived, you eat garbage food, you're addicted to your cell phone, or stuck in a bunch of bad behaviors, then guess what? Even these scaled down easy tasks will feel difficult. If you don't have a strong foundation for good sleep, clean nutrition, a simple daily routine, then you're fighting an uphill battle. But when your foundation is solid, most things become naturally easy to do. You don't need any crazy mental gymnastics to get the task done. The more energy that you have, the more fun you can make your discipline. So if you would like to build that strong foundation for yourself, then make sure that you watch this video.